Hey guys, what's going on? It's Brandon. So I think all the orders that are in for the Z06s and Stingrays, I think that those are going to be the end of the 2025s. And I think that the ZR1s are going to be whatever the car ends up being called. I think they're going to be 2026s. And I've been telling you guys this for years, actually. I said there's not going to be a 2025 ZR1. All the people who say so are full of shit. Car's not ready yet. And it's just not in the schedule. You know, when the car's going to run to 2029 or 2030 for the C8 body style, that it's not ZR1 time yet, and anybody with any common sense knows that. So General Motors really shot themselves in the foot with this whole Justin a horsepower obsessed nonsense. Keith Cornett. We're walking into Target. We're going to go grabbing some food here at Target. But Target actually has some really cool, healthy food that doesn't have. I'll show you here in a second what I'm getting. But they have pomegranates when nobody else has pomegranates. Pretty rare. But anyway, back on point here. General Motors in the past, if you guys remember, with the 2020 Stingrays, when not everybody got their car built because of the COVID situation and everything, they'll take those orders and they'll carry them across to a 2021. I think that's what General Motors is going to do here. They're going to take all these 25 ZR1 orders or whatever you want to call it, and they're going to carry it across. And so long story short, the price that you locked in, well, you'll be grandfathered into that price the same way they did on the 2020 Stingrays. This is just my opinion. This is what I see on I believe that General Motors has had this plan from step one. I have believed, and I've said this over and over, there will not be a 2025 twin turbo car. It's not going to happen. So what they're doing right now is they're retooling the factory. And like I've also said, I believe that the body that you guys all think is the quote unquote ZR1, I think those are options that are going to be available on potentially more than just the twin turbo car, whether it be the Grand Sport or also options for the even the Z06 and E-Ray potentially, where if a person wants the front pass through, they can get it. So with that said, let's see here. Let's see if they got the food I'm after. They got pomegranates, and they got the food I'm after. Good deal. So give me a second here. Before I forget, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Mark. And I was already going to kind of mention this. The bigger problem, I made the video the other day that said the problem is you can't see the sludge in the bottom of the tank. It's really not a viable worry because it's full synthetic oil and it's a really expensive oil. So I agree, it probably isn't going to have any sludge issues. Instead, basically what's going to happen is you can't look down in the tank to be able to see the dye in the oil. And you say, well, aren't you going to do the borescope idea? Sure, I can do the borescope idea, but the issue is, guys, the pomegranates. I don't like those little palm seed, little cups of palm seeds, because those aren't as healthy, I don't think. They put an additive. It's all the additives that are bad with the foods. Everybody thinks it's like gluten this and whatever. It's the additives that are added to our foods, and you got to get away from the additives. You got to get back to the real normal stuff. But anyway, so with that said, and then something else they have here is they've got this guacamole that doesn't have any additives in it, supposedly. And hang on a second here. So I come and I get my pomegranates and I get my guacamole, and we're good to go. Okay, so sorry, my hands are kind of full here. What was I saying? Well, look at all these roses they got left over from Valentine's Day or something. Okay, so back on point. What was I saying? Oh, so my buddy Mark was saying, I don't think, and he was also saying, Brandon, you can get in from the bottom of the tank and feel up in there and feel around for the sludge and put a camera up in there. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So, from the bottom of the oil tank. you just can't look in from the top. You can't look in through those ports. You got to drop the engine to get the ports away from the motor. You see what I'm saying? To really look for any kind of like sludge or whatever. And the problem is, but again, the sludge is a moot point. The bigger problem is, probably not being able to see the dye from the gasoline, because, okay, so you stick the borescope down there, but what about, how are you going to get a black light in there? The UV light to see the UV, right? So, and they do sell UV borescopes, but everyone I've seen on Amazon has a bigger tip that's going to fit through that dipstick. So the point is, you'd have to drop your oil to check, and that's a big pain in the butt. It'd be nice if we could just get in through the top and check. You see what I'm saying? So, anyhow, but I just wanted to say, I think it's pretty good odds that GM goes ahead and does the 2026s. And you say, well, why wouldn't they tell us that they were going to do that? What you have to understand about General Motors is the dealers are the customer. We're not the customer. The dealers are the customer. If a dealer has an unsold car, that's not General Motors' problem. That's the dealer's problem. It's General Motors' problem when the dealers stop ordering any more cars. But if the dealer has an unsold car on their lot, that's not General Motors' problem. So what General Motors doesn't ever want to do is they don't ever want to give the dealers a heads up before they switch to a new body style. And so what they do, how many pomegranates do I have here? 3. So what they do when they switch body styles is they often lie, and they don't tell the dealers that it's coming. And so, like I said from day one, what General Motors should have done is they should have said that the car that you're seeing with the front pass-through is the 2027 ZR1, and they're just having to use that body to test it at the ring. And they should have said that there's going to be a Grand Sport with a regular body for 2026. And had they done that, C8 Z06s would have stayed over MSRP. Thank you. C8 Z06s would have stayed over MSRP for all through 2024 into 2025. They'd still be selling over MSRP all across the United States. But instead, look what happened. Justin at Horsepower Obsessed and Keith Cornett were the first ones to really start running their big fat mouths, saying that and that's literally, that's not just an empty insult. But look at their fucking faces, guys. They're big fat fucking faces. They start running their big fat mouths that there's a 2025 ZR1. They started talking about it as soon as like August of 23. They were talking about it, maybe even sooner. And I was furious. I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? There's not going to be a 2025 ZR1. Like, you guys are so full of shit. Shut the fuck up. You're killing our Z06 values. Because what started happening was the real rich guys who don't mind paying over sticker for cars. I have multiple friends. I have a guy named John in Atlanta, Georgia area that I met when I was at the car show with Anderson Dick at Fuel Tech. The guy who had all the Lamborghinis, McLarens, and Porsches, all the white collar cars. He was going to get a Z06 over sticker. And he said, no, I'm going to wait. The ZR1's almost here. I just saw it, Brandon. I know what I'm talking about because I saw it on the internet. And I'm like, John, you're listening to fucking Justin at Horsepower Obsessed and Keith Cornett, and I know both of those dudes and their duds. They have no fucking clue what they're talking about. They're going to mislead the whole Corvette community just so they can fucking get clicks. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why I call them the Corvette cult of cluelessness. Like, they have no problem lying. And they don't care. They care about their bottom line. They care about, Corvette's the greatest thing ever. And oh my God, this is the coolest thing. I'll tune into my show so you can see what's going on with the cars. Whoa! That's what they're about. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about your money. They don't give a fuck if they make your car depreciate $50,000 in a fucking week. when they were selling 20 and 30 grand over a sticker. Next thing you know, they're selling a sticker, and then not even a month later, they're selling below sticker. They don't give a fuck. They'll lie and say they do, but their actions scream that they don't give a fuck. Okay? So with all that said, this 2026 ZR1, again, I don't even think it's the ZR1. I think it's a Grand Sport SS. I think it's an SS 1064, if they even make the damn thing. I think they'll potentially make it, but the real ZR1, I don't think it's coming out till 2027. There's gonna be a high revving, screaming motor, naturally aspirated. Look at this guy driving the wrong fucking way down the road. Oh my God. Pulling in the fucking exit. So, what else do I want to talk about? So anyway, you know, all the ZR1s went from 3000 status back down to 2000 status, which is unheard of. They don't do that. General Motors doesn't give a fuck about making people happy with wings. General Motors is in business to make money. General Motors wants to make money. What I've said all along is that body that you think is the ZR1, that they're putting up the tooling now for that. They haven't told the dealers yet because they don't want the dealers to have any reason to back out of their 2025 orders that they just put in. They don't want the customers to back out. They're going to try to help the customers with those 2025 Z06s. But in general, I think that the majority of the cars after the shutdown, once they start back up, they're going to be in mode. They're going to be pumping out a lot of CTF cars. They're going to be building a lot of 2026 CTF cars and probably the end of the 2025s. But I won't be surprised when the ZR1, whatever that car is, the twin turbo car, gets kicked to a 2026. And I also won't be surprised when the regular Grand Sports, like with the LT2 or similar motor, are built before it. Okay? And again, I don't think that even the twin turbo car is going to be called a ZR1. So, you know, my original bet with everybody in the community was there won't be a 2025 ZR1. Bet me money. So I don't think that it's really registering right now with all these idiots that alone makes me win the bet. But then they're going to be like, oh, no, you said Grand Sport comes first. Okay, worms. That was the original thing that you told me I was wrong about. Now you guys want to forget about that. Oh no, but you also said this, but you also said okay. That's fine. I'm a man of my word. But the point is, I received all kinds of flack on this when I said there won't be a 2025 ZR1. And that was the original bet. That was it. It was that simple. There's not going to be a 2025 ZR1. That's what my bet was. And everybody's like, what's that car right there? I'm like, that's the Grand Sport. That's something else. It's not the ZR1 yet. So, what else to talk about? Been driving this around a little bit. I put about 200 miles on it. And it's been dry out. It's been really dry out. There hasn't been any rain, any precipitation. It's been super dry. You know, my lips are real chapped. It's real dry out. It was below freezing last night. I was driving around a little bit. Above freezing today, just barely. Oil hasn't gone up at all. I think it definitely has to do with moisture. Whether it's driving through rainstorms or whether it's water in the gasoline. So, anyway. That's all I got for that video. What was I saying though? Yeah, this isn't the first time that General Motors will start a new year sooner than they explained. So, you know, the original Conti video that got pulled down was him saying that 2026s would be out in June, and they'd be on the ground in June and built in April and May is when they'd be built, and they'd be on the ground in June. I won't be surprised when the 2026s are here sooner. This is basically the point of this video. I won't be surprised when whatever the turbo car is gets bumped back to saying, oh, you know what? We're just going to do 2026s because we're going to give everybody the wings because that's the right thing to do. Bullshit. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about the wings. They care about their bottom line. But the reality is the car was not ready yet. Now, there is one other angle to this whole thing. I basically put up those videos looking Mark Royce in the eye and saying, I can blow up the motor on these cars. On this C8 Z06, I can blow the motor. I know how to do it with cold weather and sea level, driving fast. And the computer glitches and stuff that happen. But the thing is, think about if you're Mark Royce and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, the guy has all these other videos of causing the car to have detonation, all these different things, and you guys want to call his bluff? Oh, and by the way, Brandon has an allocation. He has an order in. We can verify it. I'm sure General Motors has verified that my order's in the system, and they're like, oh shit, he's got an order. How the fuck did... Oh shit. I've been on the dealer's list forever. I was on their E-Ray list, their ZR1 list for a long time, and I passed in the E-Ray. I was like, I don't need it, I'm fine. And then their other customers, they passed on the ZR1 when it didn't have the wing. So I think that was a trick General Motors did, where the insiders at GM knew that if you want to get one of these turbo cars, take one without the wing, and then they're going to turn around and make them where they all have the wings, because they knew they weren't going to be out yet. They knew this was just a preliminary thing. Something else I want to mention. It won't surprise me when the real ZR1 later, like the 2027, is like an invite-only car, and it's based on whether or not you own one of these turbo cars. And it's based on whether or not you owned a Z06, and it's based on whether or not you owned C7 Z06s and ZR1s, that kind of stuff. So, that's another reason why I'm moving forward with this turbo car. Look at this guy, he's got dents on the side of his fucking car and he's trying to run into me. God, people are trash, man. So anyway, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised when the real ZR1 is like an invite-only car, like a Ford GT. The real high-revving car, everybody's going to want that car. And that's the car that General Motors is going to make in limited production. That's going to be the car with the fender vents. That's going to be the real car. And if they offer a mechanical diff, that will be the car. I doubt they do, but if they do, that will be like the car. That car will potentially beat the ring record if they would offer a mechanical diff. Another thing I want to remind you guys of is the magnesium aspect. I definitely think it's coming on the ZR1 eventually, but you know, this XP car that's running around setting all these records, this experimental VIN car that's running around setting all these records, understand the original XP64, it was all magnesium. So it wouldn't surprise me if this red mist ZR1 that's running around setting all the records with the American flag, if that doesn't have a magnesium transmission in it and a magnesium engine block to make it be weighted properly so they can run a different eDiff program. That wouldn't surprise me. Therefore, it wouldn't surprise me if the one that you buy is much slower, potentially around those tracks, if it doesn't have the magnesium. Could be wrong, but we'll see. Again, the the auction, Sotheby's or whatever it is selling that original XP64 Corvette SS February 27th. So I think right around that time is when GM's going to go ahead and announce the stuff about the maybe shortly before, maybe shortly after, but right around that time is when General Motors is going to announce the Grand Sport, and that this twin turbo car has been experimental VIN the whole time, and blah 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 blah. We'll see what happens. See ya.